See, we have Jason Quigley in studio at long last. You have been on the show many times. I think this is the first time you've been here, so this is the other side.
I feel like I know the place already, but it's my first experience actually in here now.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you with us. We've always enjoyed having you on the show. To remind people where you are in your life now, broadly speaking, so obviously middleweight division, you're 15-0 at the moment in your professional career. Had been ranked number 1 in the world as an amateur, a world silver medalist, a European champion, 11 of your 15 wins at pro level, knockout. Yeah. You're ranked inside the top 10 at the moment with both WBC and WBA, and you're now 27 years of age and hoping big fights are ahead. That is the short version here. That is.
You know more about me than I do myself.
That's where you are. That's where you are. At 27, are you pretty happy with that? I know there's more to your career than that, but in broad terms?
Yeah, I'm happy, but I think as any sportsman is, there's a lot more out there that I could achieve and can achieve.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm looking to get to. If I had started out my career at 11 years of age and somebody told me I was going to be European champion, world silver medalist, ranked inside the top 10 and 5 now with the WBC, like that's a great achievement. But it's funny when you actually get into that position and it's like, I've got here, I can go further, but that's a great sign. It's a great sign to have, and it isn't in a way, because you can end up disappointed and you could end up always chasing something that you might never get.
Well, what would be enough then is the question, I suppose, I just want one more thing, then I'll be happy. Just one more thing, and then just one more thing. It will be interesting to see if you ever become a world champion, then would you be happy?
Well, I can tell you now, I probably won't. I'll be wanting more then, but, I think without going too deep, and everything
go as deep as you want.
I think it's just, you have to be happy in yourself first. If you're happy in your partner, your family, where you're living, the car you're driving, the simple things in life that take away boxing, take away football, whatever it is you do, could you live that life and be content with yourself? That's the one that you have to realise, and that's where you have to get to. And if you can get to that moment, you're going to enjoy boxing, you're going to enjoy football, you're going to enjoy everything far much more.
And what's your honest answer to that question?
Honest answer, I'm working on it big time. Obviously, I've been in LA and everything like that, and I was the type of person that I walked out and went out for things that would make me happy. If I get this, I'm going to be happy. If I live in America, I'm going to be happy. But there's underlying issues that might never make you happy. No matter how much you get. Don't get me wrong, going to America, first year and a half, I was like, happy days, I'm never leaving this place, it's unreal.
Yeah.
After that, then I was like, I missed home. I missed the rain, I missed the fire, I missed a cup of tea, a proper cup of tea. And people will say you're mad, you're crazy, because people might have never got the chance to live that experience. And it's like anything, and an example that I like to use, people go away on holidays and they go away for a week and they're like, oh, I could have stayed longer.
Yeah.
They go away for 10 days, it's usually nice. Then people go away for 2 weeks.
I know.
Can't wait to get back to my own bed or a good cup of tea and things like this, So that's a similar kind of way for people to understand the way that I'm talking here. I was in Los Angeles and had a beautiful life set up. I had a lovely apartment, lovely car, right on the beach. Boxing was going well, but I wasn't happy. You know what I mean? It just, things deep down inside you just weren't content and you weren't happy. And you end up then going to Sheffield and people are like, Sheffield from LA? Are you punch drunk? You know what I mean? This is when people they couldn't get their head around it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I've never been happier going back to Sheffield and just around people that are in the same mindset as you, the same kind of environment, the same way that you grew up. You know what I mean? And understanding things where, I'm not dissing American people, but they just had a different way of looking at life. And everything was amazing and awesome, and it mightn't have been and I'm like...
I saw you use the word authentic, actually. Maybe a bit of authenticity.
Yeah. It's funny, no matter where you come from in life, everyone's always loved their home. They always have a soft spot for home, and it doesn't matter how amazing your home is or how great the other place is that you go. Everyone just loves coming home.
Sure.
And that's just something that's in us. It's something it's like a contentment in us that, well, we're home. This is where we were looked after. And
Sheffield feels like home, does it? Or something close to home?
Close to home. It'll never be home. I didn't grow up there or nothing like that, but it's a lot closer to home. It's weather's pretty much the same as Ireland. The people are pretty much the same. The time difference is the same. You know, flights over and back are simple. You know, all these wee things come into play whenever you're at a serious height in your career.
And does being able to nip home of a Friday and come back then and get back to work at the Ingle gym and just to touch base with home, does that recharge you?
Refreshes you, recharges you, all of that. Do you know what I mean? Because instead of it, you get marathon runners and you get boxers doing 12 rounds. We don't look at the 12th round. We don't look, marathon runners don't look at the finish line. It's a long way to get there. And you can put that there into training camps as well. If you're going into a training camp thinking it's 6-10 weeks before I'm going to get home, it's this, that, whatever, that's hard to come to terms with sometimes. Boxing's a lonely sport. So if I can go over to, I go over to Sheffield on a Sunday and I'll come back, not that Friday, the following Friday. So I have about 10 days, you could say just around 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's ideal for me. I go over there, be fully focused in mind. I'm home 2 or 3 days, see the family, friends, girlfriend, everything like that, happy out, and then you're way back to work again.
Okay.
You know, and I find, but that's me.
Yes, people have different thresholds.
Everyone's different. Do you know what I mean? There's especially boxers. You know, we're a rare breed of people, and I think the sport tells it because boxers go into training camps, and we lock ourselves away. You know, we go into this. Oh, it has to be hard. It has to be grueling. It has to be this, and you do that for 10, 12 weeks. Then next thing, it's all over. And they go clean mad. They go up 5 stone in weight. I'm not talking every boxer here, but a lot of the boxers, especially they make the headlines, they go way off on the drink and putting weight on, and they be 1 week they be in the back page for great things. The next week they may be in the front page for the different things, you know. So it's a funny old sport, and it's a certain type of person that has to be a boxer.
And when you come out of camp, a really tough 10, 12, 15-week camp, and you have your fight and things go well, hopefully, do you cut loose?
You have to, in certain ways. For me, I used to come out of camps and after fights, and I just used to eat all around me. And
what are your go-to foods? Carbs. Get the carbs on.
Just something, whatever you weren't allowed. Ask any boxer. His cravings will be different.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? For every fight, it'll be different.
Yeah.
You know, you could be craving something for this fight, and then the next fight you could be craving something completely else.
But it's like pregnancy.
I don't know, maybe, but that's what they say. And for me, I used to come out of fights. I'm not a drinker. I don't drink anyway.
Have you ever?
No, I've never had a pint in my life. I've tasted a bit of whiskey and Baileys and things like that there. And every Christmas I'll have a wee rum for my grandfather who passed away about 6 years ago. So I'll just have a wee memory rum for him. But Jamaican rum is tight now. Fairly warms the chest up. But I've never actually sat down and got full or had a pint or in my life.
This is a question I feel embarrassed to ask, but why not? I'm not saying you should have, I understand it totally, but for you, why not?
It's, I suppose, a lot of reasons, you know, personal reasons. I've seen alcoholism in my family, and you know, it's not a nice thing to have in a family or in an environment, you know, but these things happen and these things mould us into people, and look, people out there will be thinking who or what or where, and it's my father, and I want to congratulate him. He's been sober for probably coming up to 15 years now.
Wow,
you know, so he's really changed his life around, and you know, I'm very proud of him because he's in a lot happier place, I'm sure, now than what he was before.
Sure.
And you know, that's probably the things that have turned around and showed me why you drink. You know, I have my mates that might go out and I hear people saying, you sit down for a pint and they drink, oh gee, another 2 or 3 and it'll be dead on. And I'm like, you don't even, what are you?
I know.
First of all, you're spending money to buy it. You don't like it.
Yeah.
You'll end up doing something that you're going to regret in the morning.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's a big culture thing in Ireland. Do you know what I mean?
You must find that it must be hard to go to any event where it's not a part of it.
Exactly. And I'm very lucky that I've never drank, so it's not a temptation to me.
Yes, you're not giving up something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everybody that I go out with are like, they just come with a pint of black currant water to me. Like, it's not, oh, why are you not drinking? Have a drink. You know, people know me because I've never actually done it, that they just hand it out to me. So it's a thing just like, in Ireland, say, I'm sure you have friends that have lived abroad or something like that there. You might have lived abroad yourself, but when you come back home, I meet you down at the local. Like, that's the first place that you have to meet. It's not call over to the house, we'll have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's, I'll meet you down at the local or something like that. So,
I know, totally. I didn't love drink growing up, I must say, but I drank, obviously. And I must say, I much prefer this period of my life where now a lot of friends are having their first child or whatever. And if we're meeting up, it's for either like brunch or a coffee.
Yeah.
I'll meet you for a coffee instead of let's meet for pints, get wrecked and be destroyed the next morning for about 2 days straight. It's much nicer, I have to say. Like, it ticks a lot of boxes. Look, people aren't going to have a drink. I still have a drink myself.
of course.
But there is obviously a fairly awful side to it as well.
And for me, like...
Look, I haven't seen anything approaching, I'm sure, the kind of stuff the pain that you've probably seen.
But it's funny because it's just like, you know, people do it unknowns to themselves too. Like, people, how many drinks? Geez, I don't know.
Yeah.
How many I've had?
I know, you feel like it's those shows where, like the diet shows where they put on the table all the food you've eaten. I don't think any of us want to see what we've drink.
No.
You know, I'm saying I don't drink much. I still wouldn't like to see over the course of a year.
But at the end of the day, it's an Irish thing. And I've heard recently on the radio that, and I think it's a very good thing that public transport now aren't going to be advertising alcohol.
Right.
You know, a lot of football and Gaelic and things like that are advertised around alcohol.
Yeah.
That's going to start coming away. Of course, it's a pity for the alcohol people, but at the end of the day, it's something that I think young people just grow up with. They see it all around them, and you know, I think it's going to be something that could maybe not affect us right now, but our children or people coming up in the future, that drink isn't a thing you have to do in Ireland.
I think it's with each generation there's less and less going on, actually. That's amazing. Your dad as well, 15 years, not easy.
I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
Sure.
I can imagine so. So, God, where were we? That was a hell of a tangent.
A big bypass there. Back to boxing.
Boxing and life in Sheffield, and maybe not quite feeling life in the States. Because I saw you say about the States as well, there was an element of you don't want to live too comfortable a lifestyle, you know, which was interesting. So how have you found the move back to, I guess, less glamorous, colder, darker, grittier environment? How has that affected your boxing or your work ethic or your training?
Well, when I was in LA, I felt as if, why do I need to box? I have everything around me.
Too content almost.
You know, it was as if I was 3 or 4 time world champion. I had a beautiful apartment, car, living in LA.
Yeah.
It was just, it was like, there was no, there was no drive in me. And plus I was missing everybody. I was a wee bit down, depressed, and it was like, it was even harder then to get up for it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, your energy's going to be affected.
Of course.
If you're in a good mood, you know.
And I was getting sick all the time, you know, chest infections, because I was always run down. I was mentally, I was running myself down.
Right, okay. As in, so you're overthinking things, you're miserable, and that made you sick?
Yeah.
Or run down anyway?
When you're stressing all the time, you're using up all your energy. When you're worrying about everything, and your body's an amazing thing. Like, once your body, it goes directly to help something. If there's something wrong in your body, like, your body will automatically start trying to fix and help the problem.
Well, it's all the stress hormones, cortisol and all this stuff is shooting around your body.
And then next thing, it forgets and you run your immune system down. And I was just picking up bits of cold from air conditioning, chest infections, head colds. And this is weeks coming up to the fight.
Really? Wow. And you were, so even in weeks coming up to the fight with the, I suppose, the intensity of a fight in the horizon, even with that to distract you, you were still missing home.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I couldn't wait maybe I was thinking for the wrong reasons as well, looking to fight because my family was coming over to see me fight. Instead of just wanting to get in there and fight, I was fighting because, and people were coming over, and that's what I was excited about rather than actually getting in there and doing what I love.
It's mad to think you were catching head colds in LA as opposed to Sheffield.
Exactly. And it wasn't because of the wire, probably because of all the aircon and everything in the car when coming out from the gym.
I mean, this does sound like Rocky 3 we're talking about basically here. And so now in Sheffield, how are you different? How has your work ethic and your mood and everything changed?
They reckon in life that moving home, moving locations, everything like that is one of the biggest stressful things that can happen to you. So of course it took me a bit of time to get settled in, and it's not the time at the start because it's all new, it's fresh, your mind's busy. It's actually when you get settled in. So just after my last fight, or not my last fight, my first fight was Dominic. Just after that was when Sheffield started becoming home and I started realising that this is where I am now, you know, and it took a while to get used to it again. I was starting to think, is this right for me now? And you know, you're constantly questioning yourself. And another big thing is I kind of live on my own over there. You know, I have my own apartment, and my girlfriend April, she'll come over every now and then, but she has her own business and everything back at home that she's busy
doing
on.
all, is she?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I don't expect her, hey, come on, I'm feeling lonely here, come on over. You know, she is her say, but it's working so much better now because I have a routine now and I know where we're going, what we want, and everything's just starting to fall into place nicely now.
Yeah.
And just everything's becoming just such a good routine.
Great.
And I've become happy with it, but that movement initially was great, and then after a while it took me a bit of time to get settled in again. And now I'm looking forward to getting back over to Sheffield. I'm going back over to Sheffield now this Monday coming in a week's time.
Right.
And I'll be back into Sheffield training and everything like that there just before the holidays.
I'm sure people are very familiar with the Ingle Gym, and if they weren't, they would have seen it with the passing of Brendan and all the tributes that rained in for him recently after his passing. Over 40 years ago he founded the gym. So you're working with his son Dominic.
Yeah.
The Ingle Gym, famous for a lot of things. The boxers are produced, and also the methods, you know, the quirky, the hopscotch or boxing to nursery rhymes or different kind of real homeschool things. I do again think of Rocky, and I wonder if you're chasing the chicken out in the back or something. So what's that been like then? Is it a completely different approach to what you were doing over in the more Mexican style of fighting in America?
Yeah, it was very Mexican. It was very old school. And this is a thing that people will find hard to understand, that America was very dated in their approach to professional boxing.
Right.
The way they made weight, the way they trained, everything like that was just old school. It was just sparring, punching, knocking the weight off you in ways that aren't so good on fatigue and everything like that, you know. As soon as I went to Sheffield, when I started working with Dominic, there was thought behind everything. And it wasn't just thought behind boxing, it was thought behind your running, your weights, your diet. We wear a heart rate monitor. It monitors every session you do. You get up first thing in the morning, you check your heart rate, and it tells you where you're at. It gives you a rating, and it tells you how prepared you are today to go into a training session, whether it's going to be a hard, tough training session, whether it's going to be a recovery kind of session, or whether to just rest at all. There's some mornings that I wake up, text Dominic on my heart rate, and he's like, right, just rest today.
Is that right?
You know, and it's not really a Monday to Friday routine either that we be in. It's all dependent on you and your body. And I think that's something that's just boxing's a very old school game.
Totally. I was going to say, I wouldn't have thought boxing is using medical science at all, really.
Yeah.
I just would have had that, you know, look, we ate 6 raw eggs in the morning, you're going to eat 6 raw eggs in the morning. That macho culture almost.
Of course.
Really surprised that you're texting him with your heart rate and saying, I'm out today.
Exactly, you know, and to me, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Get me into the gym, I'll still train, you know, this big macho mindset and, you know, but it's changing, and you need to change with the times. And you know, these little things like the heart rate, one of the best things about it as well is it can tell you when you're starting to get run down. It can tell you when you're starting to overtrain. You know, and these things...
In the red zone kind of thing. Yeah.
These things are vital. Do you know what I mean? Because leading in to world title fights, world eliminators, things, tough fights in general.
Yeah.
You need everything covered.
You can't have a cold for a week.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And these are the types of things now that are changing the game. And you see the likes of Lomachenko and everything like that as well. They're doing maths in between training sessions. You know, he's punching the bag. The fella will turn around and say 56, runs over to the board, has to find the number 56, or he'll turn around and say, hit the bag, say 10 plus 10, run over, find 20, hit it. You know, and this is all engaging the prefrontal cortex here, the part of the brain at the front. And, you know, people might be listening to this now and thinking, what's that all about? Just hit the bag, hit it hard. Hit it. But this is for whenever you're in stressful situations.
Yeah, your decision making.
And whenever somebody's on you, it's you have to be focused and you have to be on your game. It's like, this is probably all coming from Jerry Hussey as well, my sports psychologist.
Yeah,
you know,
people here are very familiar with Jerry. He's worked with the boxers for years.
Absolutely amazing man, you know what I mean? And it's like when a pilot's driving a plane or flying a plane and he has the pilot here and the co-pilot here. If there's a crash or there's something going on that could end up in a crash, the co-pilot has to sit back. He has to start asking the pilot just simple, specific things like, how much fuel have we left? What's the wind speed like? Right away, that brings the prefrontal cortex into action and starts you concentrating on what's important. Instead of panicking, you're concentrating on important things.
Well, it's because you're the limbic part back here go into fight or flight mode, and and the shit hits the fan.
That's it. That's when the plane will start going all over the place.
That's interesting. That is how you engage your prefrontal cortex. Just simple rational questions, factual questions.
Exactly. You just need to switch on.
And how can you use that in a fight then, I wonder?
That's what you work on.
Okay.
That's what you work on. You work on. But it's entirely up until the fighter as well. He has to, it's practice.
Right.
At the end of the day, everything comes down to hard work, practice. And dedication as well.
Actually, I didn't phrase that well then. So say you're under pressure in a fight.
Yeah.
Mentally, are you going to start asking yourself rational questions, or are you going to focus on your breath, or what do you anticipate you're going to do the next time you're under a lot of pressure, or what do you hope you'll do?
The next time that you get into a lot of pressure, you need to practice it, of course, first in the gym. But say you get rocked with a solid shot, instead of thinking, oh, geez, I'm all over the place here, my legs are gone, this, that, whatever. Right away you think, okay, I got hit with a good shot.
Okay.
Am I able to continue? Am I able to stand up? Yes, I am. Get my hands up, start moving around the ring, start using my jab, start feinting, just start getting away from the opponent, but not look hurt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's easier said than done. Like, I'm not saying this like every boxer go and do that and you'll be fine.
Well, everyone has a plan till they're punched in the face.
Exactly. You know, but this is about programming and learning your brain that whenever you're put under pressure, and it's up to your corner as well. The corner men are at the side of the ring.
Yeah.
They can right away shout in a key word, whatever that key word is, and as soon as you hear it, boom, you'll be like, right, I have to switch on.
Yeah.
Or get back to your jab, get moving. Just a simple commandment that gets that prefrontal cortex into action again.
And the hope for you guys is it's so ingrained that it does happen.
Exactly.
I presume that there's many a fighter who's been absolutely rocked and then just fights on instinct and manages to do it very well.
Of course, Joe Calzaghe was amazing at it.
Right.
I remember he fought, I can't remember the guy, the name of the guy that he fought, but I remember he was wearing grey and black shorts, but Joe Calzaghe was rocked and put down. Got back up and your man just went on him and started just going hell for leather on Joe. And Joe just seen fire, an animal, caged animal, that's when they're most dangerous, and he just started letting go again.
Right.
And next thing, Joe knocked him out.
Yeah.
And Joe's an undefeated fighter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he could turn around and say to me, Jason, what are you on about? Just fight back. Do you know what I mean? But as I says, everybody's different.
Of course.
And everything will work different for each and every fighter.
And so aside from the science side of things, are you a different fighter technically with regard to whether you're trying to knock people out or whether you're, evasion or counterpuncher? Or have you changed what your style is with the Ingles, or is it just building on what you've done?
Well, to be honest, it's getting back to what I was good at.
Really more of an amateur style?
More of an amateur style, because I wasn't an amateur fighter that just ran around the ring.
Right.
I was an amateur fighter that picked my shots, moves. I was slick, I was fast. I am slick, I am fast, you know what I mean? But once I turned professional and got into that old school habit of just hands up, boom, 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 getting into wars,
yes,
it just started happening. And then, touch wood, I think I have a very good chin, and I was able to take shots. So I was just lying there taking shots and a decent defence, and I was catching them. And I got into a habit then of just lying on the ropes times, and people will see that in my last fight, first 3 or 4 rounds, I boxed the ears off him.
Right.
Next thing I was in a war, you would swear the two of us were just going at it hell for leather.
Yeah.
And
Is it the Hernandez fight?
that was the Hernandez fight.
Because I saw you say, like that, you were all over him, you were fine first few rounds, and then almost had a habit, got into a war.
Just got into a war.
Yeah.
And that's things like, I've over 250 amateur fights, 15 professional fights now. Professional boxing and amateur boxing, 2 completely different sports.
Sure.
And for me, having 250 plus amateur fights, 3-4 rounds, I can breeze them. I can beat anyone in the world at that level for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's keeping that going, and it's just repetition of keeping calm, keeping relaxed. My body was just used to 3 rounds, do everything, do what you have to do to win. And 3 rounds, anybody can get through 3 rounds unless you get knocked out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Anybody has the fitness to get through 3 rounds if you train right at all. So for me, the first 3-4 rounds was easy, and I felt myself, I was like, geez, this is easy. And then maybe I switched off a little bit because I thought it was too easy. Next thing, he started to land a few shots, and I started to get angry, and, just was wrong with me.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that I can sit here and recognise that. I'm not coming away thinking, geez, I got into a tough scrap, but I'm going to give it absolutely everything I got. Well, I'm sitting back now thinking, I was 50% of Jason Quigley, like.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's a good lesson.
It's a great lesson, and these are the type of fighters. My father says that you're going to go through the meat grinder to get to the top.
Yeah.
And these type of fellas are the meat grinder that are going to be there. And I remember hitting him with shots that I left men sleeping with.
Yeah.
His face didn't change, and he just kept walking forward. And right away I was like, what am I going to do to get this man out of here? Instead of just relaxing, thinking, I don't need to get him out of here, I just need to beat him and box him. So it's a great learning curve for me, and I was delighted with, not right away after the fight,
Sure.
but a week or 2 after it, I was delighted with the outcome. And
good
the
time to
learning.
get that lesson.
Of course.
And does your dad know his boxing?
What's that?
Your dad knows it.
Very, very smart man in boxing. Me and my
sounds like
father
that.
was, he trained me right up until my 3rd professional fight. Trained me right through the amateur. Obviously, I was in the Irish team then with Billy and Saur, but always had a part to play.
Okay, right.
And then Dad and Manny Robles were my coaches as a professional, and he's a very intelligent man, knows his boxing, but most importantly, he knew me. You know what I mean? And that's a thing out there that that boxers and coaches have to understand. It isn't how much you know about boxing, it's how much you know the boxer. And you need to know, and that's another thing about Dominic. You'll come into the gym and Dominic will say, how you feeling today? Knowing right well that you're tired or you're sore or something's up. And that's the day that you have to just maybe keep him training, but wind it down a little bit. Because there's coaches out there that have nothing to do with their fighters outside the gym. And all they know is the fighter in the gym. It's a relationship. And that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a relationship, and you have to get to know each other, what works for you and what switches you on and switches you off.
Yeah. Well, then I presume if that's the broad case, there must have been surprise and shock when Billy Joe Saunders tested positive. He's had his belt stripped now. I'm sure people have seen a failed test. It was a voluntary test, and he's saying it's a nasal spray, and his says he's horrified at the incident. Is he still punching away? Is he
Billy
there?
Joe's-
What's he said about the whole thing?
What he said about the thing was, nobody really brought it up or said anything to him in the gym. We heard it happened, and the Sheffield gym is like, it's like a family. Do you know what I mean? Everyone, once we're in the gym, we get on great, we do this. But at the end of the day, it's an individual sport. And whatever happens to Billy Joe, whatever happens to the other guy in the gym, that's up to them to deal with.
Sure.
Because when we get inside the ropes, it's us that's in there. Billy Joe's not going to be in there, here, Jason, I'll hit him a shot for you. Do you know what I mean? But in all honesty, it was a nasal spray that we've known of, and it was to clear a head cold or something that he had.
Right.
And he tested positive. Like, if Billy Joe was taking anything, why would he sign up for a voluntary test? You know what I mean? And it's the same with Canelo. You know, Canelo was taking something to help drop weight or whatever like that. But what people don't see is, they don't see the measurements of these steroid drugs, whatever people want to name them, that they're taking. And these things were minimal in Canelo and in Billy Joe Saunders. Look, I'm not defending them whatsoever. Boxing has to be, and always should be, a clean sport and a fair playing ground, because at the end of the day, when you step through those ropes, people don't realise it, but your life's on the line. You get hit one wrong shot, it could be the end of you.
Sure.
You know, and that's the truth.
Would you be tested often?
We be tested often. I signed up for once I became the NBF middleweight champion, it's part of the WBC, and that's what has me in the world rankings now with the WBC. Once you're in there, they have you on a program, VADA, and you get tested regularly. You could get tested once a month, once every 6 months. You could just get tested whenever.
It's random.
It's random.
Okay.
But most importantly, you get tested before and after fights as well. You know, and look, it does happen and it doesn't happen. The problem that I think that is out there with anti-doping and with these failed drugs tests is the knowledge behind it. I have a head cold today, say I don't, but say I have a head cold. I go into the chemist, ask the chemist, have you anything for a head cold? Yeah, this here, boom. What is out there to tell me, can I just type something in and look it up? If there's too many anti-doping agencies, there's too many types of testing. There should be one overall testing with an app that you can type in before you take any supplement, any medicine out of the chemist, out of a nutrient shop, anything like that you can type in, and at the end of it get a green tick or an X tick.
I thought they put an initiative like that together in recent times.
So did I.
Right.
And it happened to me whenever I was in LA. I kept coming down with head colds and different things like this, and I was running to the chemist, and there was times I just wasn't taking anything to help myself because I was afraid, and I was typing in the internet, you know, anywhere that I can find something that, is this positive, is it negative, can I take it, can I not take it? And it's so hard to find. Like, there should be just one drug anti-doping agency with one app, and you can just type it in and you'll know exactly what you can take, what you can't take.
Yeah. Alvarez blamed meat, contaminated meat, which is I was going to say excuse, but be fair to him and say reason, which is often given. We dismayed, so that's your weight, that's the middleweight division. Billy Joe's middleweight, Alvarez is middleweight, that's why I'm bringing them up, for instance. Were you dismayed when you saw him get 6 months? Did that sit okay with you? He should have got a year by rights. And so the obvious conclusion was, well, let's get him back in time to fight Golovkin.
Look, at the end of the day, this is a professional sport. Without money, this sport can't happen. And big fights like that are great for boxing. Canelo, Golovkin. There's going to be a lot of money lost if that fight didn't happen. And is this the reason why there's a leeway? You know, I'm with Golden Boy, but I don't text Oscar and say, what's the story with Canelo?
No, I understand that, yeah.
This year, did he really? Because Canelo might have took something, but he mightn't have told any of his team, and he still mightn't have told any of his team.
Which strengthens the argument, actually. He should have been given a year if the year is in the rule.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Well, put it this way. Imagine you get to a point, and it's very possible where you're fighting him, and say you're in the same position, and say, oh, geez, that contaminated meat again. What are the odds? You would not be comfortable if the ban he should receive was halved.
Of course not.
You know, that can't happen.
Rules are meant to be broken. It's such a silly thing. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just to cover people that make the rules. But at the end of the day, as I says, I think it's the knowledge around it, and that there's too many. There's WADA, there's UCADA, there's VADA, there's all these doping agencies. They need to come together. They need to be one test, one law. Like with Billy Joe Saunders, he was failed by VADA. But the British anti-doping passed them.
Yeah, I think also generally you're allowed to take the nasal spray he claims to have taken, except for in competition.
Outside of competition.
Yeah. So if WADA had tested him, and it does get complicated, I think if WADA had tested him, it would have been okay, but because it was VADA, the voluntary, they have it banned at all times. So I can see how that's very confusing. I guess I'm wondering more about the more serious, deliberate, okay, nasal sprays and I have a head cold, I get, for me that's a category. And then there's the other category of, right, I'm going to take something now because of a fight in a year's time and I'm going to be bigger and stronger.
Exactly.
And that's, what's your sense of that? I mean, that it's going on in a big way?
Look, this is a professional sport with millions on the line.
Yeah, people can change their lives, and if they have to cheat, some will.
They might do it, but we're sitting here talking about in competition, out of competition. Why do we not know these answers? Why do professional athletes not know these answers? Like Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo, all this here, why do they not know these answers? These should be stated that if you take this in or out of competition, why is this not detailed? Like, why do people not know what's in or out of competition for boxing? I don't know. I'm a professional athlete.
Really, yeah.
In or out of competition on amateur scale, Olympic scale, no problem, understand that. Soon as the Olympics start, till as soon as the Olympics is over, you're not allowed to test for any of that. That's perfect, that's no problem.
Yeah, and I guess the last point, what do you hear much of whispers about certain fighters who, and again, I'm not talking about the cough medicine here. I'm talking about more serious, deliberate doping. How big a problem do you think there is in the sport there?
Honestly, I don't hear much of it.
Right.
I don't hear much of it. I haven't heard any whispers. I don't even know the names of anything that you could actually take. Like, I don't. And has there anybody, I'm trying to think now. I think I remember Shane Mosley got banned for a legitimate performance enhancer.
Effort, yeah. I guess if you're clever, you don't always get caught. Which brings me back to the point, with the ban that Alvarez got. You just wonder, do the authorities want to catch them? How badly do they? Is it a good thing for them if they catch? Because I don't know if there's you've got different WBC, you've got the alphabet soup, and I'm not sure if they all are working off the same page and there's different rules, and it seems just very vague from
exactly what you're saying. That's just the problem all over the board. It's too widespread, there's too many people involved, there's too many rules. It should all just be stripped down into one. Will that ever happen? I don't think so. But
money definitely complicates
100%.
What's the picture for you then? So you had, unfortunately, a bad injury, hand injury in March 2017, effectively put you out for a year. And so now you're back, and I read out your credentials at the start. You're 27 years of age. It looks to me like you're building. The next 2-3 years are the big years, the key years. So, I mean, the hope is obviously a world title shot.
Of course.
Sooner rather than later. Is that likely, or have you got a few more fights to go through first?
Well, that's the aim. To become world champion is the ultimate aim. Do you know what I mean? So for me now, that last fight that I got was ideal.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Wasn't ideal performance-wise by me, but it was ideal in what I needed in my career. A good, solid 10 rounds. Don't forget the fact that that lad went the distance with Erislandy Lara, Demetrius Andrade. He's boxed for the world title before. Do you know, he was a very experienced lad, and that's why I wanted to fight him.
Okay.
And also, I remember Andy Lee saying previously, the fight before Hernandez, this is a very tough fight for Quigley to come back in. This lad, Daniel Rosario, he had 13 fights, 3 losses, but 3 of his losses split decision, majority decision, never stopped.
I think you were the first to stop him.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So these are the type of fights that I want, because these are the type of fights that I know I need when I want to become world champion. Because these lads are going to put you into positions that you haven't been in before, and they're going to get you ready for the top level fighters. So I would ideally like another 1 or 2 tough fights now, early next year, against good experienced lads, and get ready for the world title. And that's the aim, that's the goal. And you know, I know I'm well on my way to getting there. And it's just a matter now of keeping everything together, putting all the right pieces together, and getting another Irish world champion.
Yeah, it'd be good, wouldn't it? Exciting times.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt, definitely.
So you're back over to Sheffield, home for Christmas? That's the challenge?
Home now for Christmas, and back over to Sheffield then, ready to rock and roll. Full steam ahead in the new year, and hopefully it's another great year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So listen, it's great having you in, because we've talked to you, we've had great conversations with you down the line over the years, so it's great to have you in, and well, best of luck with the fights starting next year, and I'm sure we'll chat to you around them. So
100%. Thanks for having me, lad.
Top man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Good man.
Thanks a million.
Thank you.